Hey, Brandon here. Welcome back to another episode of the 2023 NFL Draft Rookie Report. We got an exciting prospect tonight, wide receiver Jaxon Smith-Njigba. We fell in love with him when he was a freshman on that toe tap catch that he had in the end zone. And here we are 3 years later, and he is headed to the NFL. Here with my good friend and
Crazy.
co-host, Jason DiRienzo. He's a recent graduate of the Scouting Academy and co-founder of the Devy Watch. Jason, we've been watching JSN, not this year, not his freshman year, but only his sophomore film. So you ready to get into it?
Let's do it, man. I'm ready.
Yeah, we're going to talk about his 2021 film, because we don't really have much. He was injured this year with a hamstring injury. We're going to talk about his expected draft capital, as well as talk about his future dynasty value. So again, thanks for watching. Hit that subscribe button. This is our 14th episode. So we've been grinding hard on these rookie reports, trying to get you ready for your rookie drafts come this spring. So let's get right into it. JSN, all right. We didn't get to see him this year, which was a big disappointment. He's 6 foot, 200 pounds. But back in 2021 is when he really made his mark. He had 95 receptions, 1,595 yards, and 16 receptions per catch, 16.8 yards per catch. Those really were the only stats that he had really for his 3-year career. So that's the film that we've watched. We've been, the All 22 film is hitting our folders, which is always very exciting. From film from last year as well. So we really get to take a look at that. So here I got some PFF stats, Jason. I just kind of want to throw out there. The big conversation with JSN is, he only played the slot. So for 3 years in college, he was an 83% out of the slot, 16% wide. So that's probably something that we can talk about here in a second. His catch percentage is 82% over his 3-year career. Which is really a 1-season career, but I mean, that's pretty good, man. This guy's got some sticky hands in my scouting report. I like his hands. I think he's got some strong mitts. Yards per reception, 15.5. He's an explosive receiver. We know that. We saw that last season. Average depth of target, 9.4 as well. Shows you he's got some vertical ability, in his yards after his yak abilities. Yards after catch per reception is 7.5. So he's got some ability at the second level after he gets his ball in his hands. I really like how he catches the ball and turns upfield. I'm sure we're going to talk about that. Any of those numbers kind of stand out? What is your initial reaction and thought process where people knock JSN because he was strictly a slot guy and not sure that he can win on the outside?
Yeah, go back to AJ Brown. That was my turning point in my evaluation process. I was lower on AJ Brown because of the same thing. I will never make that mistake again. I don't really care. He knows how to get open, and we'll get into that a little bit more in a little bit here.
Yeah. So, all right, we're going to do a scouting report. We go through 5 traits for wide receivers. Release and route running is the first trait. And these are some notes from my Devy to Dynasty dashboard. I thought, like, in here, I got some notes here. I thought his route running was smooth, focused, and technically refined. I thought he was fluid in the hips. He created separation quickly. I thought he did some defensive manipulation. He didn't face a lot of press coverage, playing out of the slot. Listen, he knows how to find the opening in zones, right, from a route running standpoint. So he understands what he's seeing out in the field. And I'll tell you what, one of the reasons I was a little lower on Chris Olave than and I'm going to learn from that was I felt that Chris Olave did a lot of that as well. A lot of his production came, finding these gaps in the zones and getting open. What did you think about his release and route running, JSN?
I actually thought it was fantastic. His release, I mean, it's instantaneous. The acceleration is there. And even within the route running, I think he needs to expand on the route tree, but he had crisp breaks. He knew exactly the timing to separate. He didn't have to fight through a route, but that's okay. I mean, he played mostly out of the slot, and he could just navigate zone coverage and always found the soft spot in the middle. I don't have a problem with any of that. And I actually think the route running and the release at the line of scrimmage is something that's going to benefit him if he does play out the slot or if he plays at the Z position. So he's got a little bit off the line to get a nice little space release.
Yeah. So acceleration and speed is the next trait that we talk about on these shows. I thought he has quick acceleration and separation off the line. I think he has break, but he lacks the breakaway long speed. He struggles to break away from defenders in the open field and will get caught from behind. That Rose Bowl game, right? I sent you the all 22 film on that.
You did. Yep.
And listen, explosive game. I forget 3 touchdowns, 300 yards. I forget all what the stats are. There was 2 or 3 plays on that film where, he had 3 or 4 steps on some guys and got caught, so I think his game is going to be short area quickness and not the long speed. And, like Cooper Kupp always said, he doesn't care about guys with long speed as a wide receiver. It's all about the twitchiness and the short area burst and acceleration and quickness. And that's where I think he's going to win. And I don't expect him to have a great 40 time at the combine, but I don't think it's going to hurt his draft stock, whatever he runs.
No, I don't think so either. He'll probably be in the 4 or 5s, but the twitchiness and the acceleration, I mean, he's an explosive athlete, and I think that's what's going to benefit him the most.
Yeah. So ball skills and hands are the next trait we talk about. I thought here in my notes, he's got good concentration at the catch point. I think he has excellent ball skills and hands. I really like his body control. He made several impressive grabs in 2021 watching his film. I think he does a nice job tracking the ball, and he's a vertical threat. So I think he can win all over the field.
Completely agree. Love the ball skills, and I honestly think this is George Pickens is another one for me where, we're going to talk about the years of production and everything, but elite ball skills. I'm not sure if this is elite, but it's very good, and I don't have a problem with it. And I think it's going to help him at the next level.
Yeah, I think so too. He had a 5% drop rate back in 2021. So he's got some really, really good hands. So yards after the catch, like we talked about, I don't think he's going to be that, guy that's going to, blow people away, but I love his vision. I love his defensive manipulation when he gets the ball in his hands. I like the angles he takes. He kind of, just doesn't run to open space. He kind of works guys over as he runs to the open space, which I always look for in a wide receiver and a running back as well. What do they do not to just run to open space, but do they create any open space with their maneuvers as they get there?
Yeah, I mean, he's a navigator. He knows exactly how to navigate through the seam. He knows how to create for himself. And I mean, it's a running back term, but he really does. He knows exactly how to create, find the open lanes, and get the ball and get yards off the catch. So I love everything about that part of his game.
Yeah, the last segment here, we talk about his trait, rather his physicality and play strength. I mean, he's got a little bit of a lighter frame, but he's 200 pounds, 6 foot something, so he's got plenty of meat on the bones. I think he's a high energy blocker from what I saw watching that all 22 film. He does engage in blocking, so I think that's always going to be a good thing. So what I'd like to see a little bit more physicality at the at the contact point, something I kind of look for. He doesn't really seem to want to take on contact, and will do something sometimes to kind of not put himself in harm's way, but it's very minor in the long grand scheme of things.
Yeah, the play strength part of it is definitely still a question mark of mine. I didn't get a chance to really see how he is able to kind of fight off defenders and kind of battle his way through contested catches and catching in traffic. I think he could handle himself, but this is still kind of a question mark for me. I do think he has the frame for it, though.
It's such a shame we didn't get to see him today because,
Yeah.
he in 2021 he played with Wilson and Olave, right? So
Right.
I mean, and he was super productive. I would love to have seen him being the number one guy. Well, I mean, you got Marvin Harrison. I mean, they're just a freaking factory over there,
I know, right?
So, all right, let's get right down those draft capital. I mean, right now he's a round 1 guy. It seems like I can't imagine him slipping into round 2. Do you see the same thing?
Yeah, I got round 1 all day long.
Yeah, so rookie draft selection, he's around 1, 2. So I don't think there's a lot to talk about there. Projected fantasy value. This is interesting. I mean, so let's say 3 years down the road, he gets a decent landing spot. I just did a mock draft. All right, let's put this into perspective here. Let's say he gets round 1 draft capital and ends up going to the Chargers. That's a nice juicy landing spot. What would you see if he stuck there? What his fantasy ceiling would be if he gets himself a quarterback, which is always important as a wide receiver, good, organization who's organized, good offensive line. Let's say he lands in a great spot like that with a good passer. What do you think his ceiling could be fantasy wise?
Oh God, I mean, he's basically taking over the Keenan Allen role at that point, then, right? So that's massive PPR production. So that's wide receiver 1 upside potentially. I mean, I have him as wide receiver 2.
Yeah,
if you ask me right now, Garrett Wilson or Jaxon Smith-Njigba, I'm taking Garrett Wilson because he has that tenacious, alpha physical mentality, even though he's undersized. That's what I'm looking for. I didn't get a chance to see that with Jaxon Smith. So that's kind of the difference for me.
Yeah, I saw that physicality at the catch point. I think he's going to be all right. Player comp. I got Ron St. Brown, guy who also played a lot out of the slot. They're very kind of similar in size as well. And I can see that kind of production him having in 2 or 3 years, again, finding himself where he's a wide receiver 2 on a team. Do you think he's a wide receiver alpha on a team, or do you think he would want to have more of a complimentary guy where out of the slot?
I think he's a complimentary guy. I really do. But I really like that Amon-Ra St. Brown comp. I think that's a fantastic comp. I mean, mine's Robert Woods. Just the separator in him, just the way he was able to find the soft spots in zone and just be available at the catch point. But Amon-Ra, that's very much what we saw from Jaxon Smith at Ohio State.
Yeah, so I think that's going to be probably where he goes. So, all right, guys, that's the show. There is our breakdown. Listen, he's a great prospect. If you've got him on your Devy roster, your C2C roster, congratulations. I mean, it's going to be exciting to see where he's going to go. He's going to be a round one guy unless something crazy happens. So enjoy him if you got him already on your roster. So I'm going to put 2 game films of him, on this show. So thank you for watching, and I'm going to plug them in here right now. And like I said, hit that subscribe button. We're going to be doing every rookie that we can imagine you are going to possibly select in 4 rounds. So if you like this content, appreciate it. Leave a comment. Got a lot of these coming. So thank you again for watching.